Okay, guys, we are live, I think. We're going to be double checking. For those listening at home, welcome to the Dungeon Musings YouTube channel. We are live. My name is Kevin Madison, and I will be your friendly story guide today, because today we are landing a white whale of mine. This is a game that I have been waiting 30 years to run, and this is our third effort to try and get the stream going tonight. Or today. We have had a successful stream earlier today and last night, so I think it's just proving to be a little tricky to land this white whale. We are going to be playing today Ars Magica, originally written by Jonathan Tweet and Mark Reinhagen, and it is currently published by Atlas Games. The 5th edition is what we're going to be playing today. It was recently kickstarted or crowdfunded for a very successful ultimate edition, but it is at its core this version that we're going to be playing. And I am joined today by 3 luminaries of the Dungeon Musings YouTube channel to join me on this maiden voyage to Mythic Europe, the setting of Ars Magica. I'll go the order I've got you guys on the screen here. Why don't you tell us who you are and who you're playing today? First up, we've got Ingolf.
Yeah, hi, I'm Ingolf. I'm playing Gwyneth Hargeist with a female scholar, and in a company of all these male mages, and we will see how this works out. And sometimes I think there is this secondary character called Jack, who is a veteran in some sort, and someone who is there to bring some sense into this bunch of young folks who don't know anything.
Very nice. Next up is Darren.
Yeah, hello there, I'm Darren. I'm playing Treefor Cadell, who is a mage, so the mage of the party, and we'll see if he's as powerful as we hope he will be.
And do you know what house he hails from?
Is it Hydeus?
Titulus.
Titulus,
yeah. We
House
talked in our
Titulus.
first effort of this, we talked a bit about the what House Titulus's philosophy is and where Trevor fits in that, but they are prone to the benefits of conflict in all forms, and whether Trevor subscribes to that or whatnot is completely at your disposal. Again, whatever is the most fun. And last but certainly not least is our resident armorsmith slash blacksmith slash, I don't want to say grog, Dave, because you're so much more than just a blacksmith, but it's Dave.
Thanks, Kev. Hey everybody, I am playing Sir Edouard Duperon, and I'm not going to speak French throughout today just because my French is terrible, but he is a Frankish knight, and traveling with him is another grog named Wolfhelm.
Nice.
Wolfhelm the Hunter.
We've, in our 3 efforts thus far to get this stream going, I have explained this 3 times now, so I apologize to the players for hearing this spiel over and over again, although having sat through so many outros, it's hardly the first time you've heard something over and over again. The setting of this is Mythic Europe, which is a kind of nebulous place that has certain magical powers that influence the setting, much like the Traveler settings. Traveler U, that is different at every table. Mythic Europe is like that as well, so every version of Mythic Europe is going to lean more into one of the kind of constituent elements of it: the magic, the historical nature of it, the grittiness, or the more fantasy elements. And ours is likely to be a little leaning towards the gritty, which is, I know, shocking for one of my adventures guys, but otherwise will be largely the same. I will apologize in advance to the butchering I'm going to do for southwestern England geography as well, because our adventure takes place in Somerset in southwest England. Our heroes are members of the Libellus Covenant. It is located in one of the larger, or in the eastern part of Somerset, south of Bath, which is one of the major cities near there. And again, Bath, I guess, is more regionally correct. And to the west, I can't remember actually what the region is to the west of there, but the setting or the session is not going to focus on some of the other parts of the game, like the covenants or the politics that are going on there, and simply on the task that our companions or our heroes have been set to. So guys, let me bring you over to this here. And we have successfully made it to Bath, guys, without anything going awry. That's a promising start. The way that authority sort of works in any expedition coming from a covenant is the mage is obviously the one who is in charge. But responsible mages know when to listen to people who know more than what they do. For those who aren't familiar with the game, typically what you have is one mage played by one player, and all the other players have companion characters that are kind of like more competent characters, not as magically powerful as what the mage is, but like competent and have access to a narrative metacurrency. And then there are also grogs, who are sort of shared NPCs that, or shared characters that everybody can take out or whatever as needed for the adventure. So, and then in a standard ongoing campaign, you would rotate the mage that is being used, and the person who was playing the mage in the last one would just pick up their companion. Now they would be in the next adventure. This particular adventure sees Trevor and two companions, Sir Edward and Gwynedd, who are heading to Bath to meet with a bishop. The bishop's name is... Where is it here? Bishop Simon. And it is Bishop Simon is in charge of the diocese in which the covenant is located. The mages have in this setting a bit of I'd say a kind of peace with the religious or the ecclesiastical authorities. And one of the ways they have maintained their protection from the church, from this being simply witch hunted, is for one, being quite powerful and also having good allies and being good allies to the church when needed. They also have, the Order of Hermes is the overarching structure that organizes all mage society in Western Europe. And the Order of Hermes has a long-standing rule now that you don't magically support nobles. So they know that nobles are going to be squabbling and whatnot, and they may have lots of money to try and pay mages to take one side or another. If you happen to take the wrong side in it, though, that's a really good way to get your whole covenant eliminated. So there's a long-standing rule. That is not to say that mages all follow that. It is the rule, however. This particular bishop, Bishop Simon, says that there is something that that he is hopeful that the mages of your covenant will be able to deal with. And being one of the most junior members of the covenant who actually is a mage, not an apprentice any longer, Trevor, you've been tasked with this. Going along with you is Gwynedd, who is a exceptionally well-learned woman, and Sir Edward, who is a knight who has been seconded or sworn to the covenant. Along with you, you've brought Wolfhelm, because when you're traveling in the wild, Wolfhelm's an excellent travel guide, ranger, forester, that kind of stuff. And Jacques is just, like Ingolf has suggested, Jacques is sort of like the adult in the room. So he can assist with some background context that you guys may not be aware of. Also, he's a very competent warrior. And between the Edward and Jacques, whatever this bishop wants, you're certainly welcome. You've got hopefully enough assistance to deal with this. It's been about a 3-day journey to get to Bath, and mages, there are places in Mythic Europe where mages are and their covenants are found more in cities, but it's typically really big and really old cities. So Constantinople has several covenants that actually live within the walls of the city. Rome has a similar thing too. But for the most part, because of the potential consequences of magical experimentation and whatnot, and because you want to be near sources of raw magic, one of the things you'll hear about is V, in a VIS. What that is raw magic of some kind that can be crafted into things or used to make magic easier or to make magic last longer. So the cities tend to not have that kind of stuff in it. So there's all sorts of reasons why you don't be here. I mention all this to suggest that it's a little strange when you do find yourself in the cities. So if you're feeling out of place here, there may be a reason for that. Is because it's very rare that you're actually here. Trevor, do you think this is your first sort of mission as a mage proper, or do you think that you have gone out on other sort of adventures when you've been the one responsible?
Yeah, I think this is probably his first official sort of outing. He's got quite rich parents and he's been protected up to this point, well educated, well brought up. You know, he's very respectful and proper. You know, he's wet wet behind the ears when it comes to missions, and you know, he's out to prove himself, obviously, but he's a bit cautious, I would have said.
And what about Gwynedd? How's she feeling being out? Is this first outing? First time it seems under Trevor, but...
Yeah. I think she likes to be left alone with books more of the time, but somehow she thinks she's important for this mission because someone has to be the educated person in the room. And know his or her Latin in a way, yeah.
Okay. And what about Sir Edward?
I think it's funny because before Darren started talking, I was thinking, wow, this is probably his first time out too. He looks pretty young in his picture, and you know, or maybe he's been out once or twice before, but this is like the first time where he's been kind of allowed to go without another, you know, not parental figure, but a figure of authority from his side. So yeah, he's a knight, but he's not gone on too many adventures on his own.
Sir Edward, I can't remember. I had like one or two versions of this character in my head when we were writing up the pre-gen. I can't remember which I landed on. Okay, yeah. So, you've seen some unusual things here, but what will we see as you guys are riding into... You probably have a cart, and Sir Edward probably has a horse as you're riding into Bath.
Soaking up the atmosphere of a city, you know, a big place, a lot of people about, but I think quite to the point we'll be heading to make contact with Bishop Simon sort of directly rather than going via a pub or inn or whatever. So it'll be, let's, you know, get on with the job, see what needs to be done, and just soak it in as we're traveling there. But yeah, quite focused.
Okay. So it is not long before you arrive. The Bath Abbey Bath Abbey is quite notable even in this time. Gorgeous open square nearby. Gwynedd, it may be of interest to you that the Roman baths are adjacent to where Bath Abbey is located as well. So there is also a good reminder that this place has deep roots as far as the connection with the mainland are concerned. There's lots of old places in England. This is a place built by Romans. So when you arrive, there is some, I think probably Trevor, you may be the one who makes the introductions, and you are brought into the kind of quarters of Bishop Simon's office within the Abbey. And then eventually he finally comes to join you, and Simon looks like this. And he comes in. I'm not certain that he is quite done up as he was. Maybe he is coming back from services and finds you, although I am not certain that he would just trust you guys on your own in there. So perhaps it's like a study or something like that. Gwynedd, there may be some books on the shelf that are of particular interest to you. Like, oh, they have a copy of this. And Edward, everything looks like it is fancy and could be quite, handily damaged. And Trevor, let's get some dice rolling. You, I believe, have a skill called Magical Sense. Do you not?
Magical Theory?
Not Magical Theory. Let me take a look here.
Is this,
Let's see. So under your abilities. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
Magical Theory. Then why don't you give us a... Well, if you go to your magic tab, see your techniques, lab characteristics. No, it's not there. It is. Let me see here. Obstacles. I think it'll be your perception and let's see here. Second sight. You don't have a second sight spell, do you? Oh, that says that's a talent. Ignore me.
No, definitely not.
Why don't you give us a perception? So you can set the characteristic at the top there. Why don't you use perception and let's say magical theory at
perception, magic theory. Yeah.
Yeah, with a simple dice. This isn't a stressful situation.
Okay.
So that's not great.
He's not a very perceptive character, as you can see.
It's 2:00 now, also, or past 2:00 my time, so everyone can have a point of confidence as well. I think you intuitively know, like, this place likely has mages think of different places that are touched by the different realms of power. The divine, the infernal, the Fae, and magic. They all have different auras to them. You would expect a place like Bath Abbey to have that, but it's either so powerful that you're just not feeling it, or there's something off about it. But as you say, you're not the most, perceptive, and perhaps your nerves are getting the better of you here. So you're just not able to detect whether, the potency or whatnot of that. Bishop Simon enters, and greetings. You are from Labellus? Labellus. You are he looks you up and down, Trevor. You are the mage.
I am young, but I am capable.
I trust that your covenant knows best. Forgive me. I am August Simon. I'm bishop of the Diocese of Somerset. And who are you?
I am Trevor Cadell. And these are my companions. Sir Edward, Gwynedd, Jack, and Wolfhelm.
Did the others at the Covenant discuss with you the task?
No, we was asked to come and meet with yourself, and you would give us the information that we required.
I see. Then, tell me, are you familiar with West Brockshire? And if anyone has a ability that they think would be relevant to their geography or history of England or anything like that, or history in general, feel free to make a roll.
A local area law, maybe?
Hell yeah. Yep.
I'm just gonna tell him what's supposed to be.
So this is a 9.
It's a 9. Yeah, so what you know, Gwynedd, even with just that, actually that's a hard roll, I think. So with that, you know that West Brockshire is a parish in the western part of Somerset, closer to the border and very much in more of the rural part of Somerset. It is not it's not close to the coast, it's not close to the city, it is very much a kind of country and rural environment. You know that West Brockshire is a village, and there's something do you have a history skill as well?
Not history by itself. Folk can, I don't know, maybe if it is related to the church itself, then yes, otherwise no.
Absolutely church, yeah, this is a church-related thing.
Yeah, so I could roll on church law, maybe?
Yeah, please do. Because there's something, now that you know where West Brockshire is, there's something else
16, that is...
So maybe it's been sitting with you, Gwynedd, of like, why is it that this bishop would want to meet with us? And I'll tell you what your suspicion has been. At West Brockshire, there was a place called the Monastery of St. Sylvester. I say was because it burned down 20 years ago. 20 years ago, the monastery was, it said, sacked by a bandit named Owen the Beast, an outlaw. With a roll that good, I can tell you, too, that the monastery, while like some monasteries, it had money. The money made by the St. Sylvester was through industry, not through riches. They had a extensive tannery operation that was a not insignificant part of the West Brockshire industry until 20 years ago, when the Beast came and seemingly killed everyone within, with the exception of one survivor. And with a roll of 16, I think you know as well the legend of the person who survived. His name is Father Guthrie.
Huh.
The reason that's significant is because Guthrie apparently became a unrelenting hunter of diabolic cults and other evil sorts. The Beast, it's not clear whether he was a Satanist himself, whether he bowed the knee to the Dark One, but that is the course that the sole survivor of the burning of St. Sylvester came to.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say any of that?
Yeah, I would just remark, so my Lord Bishop, is it maybe about West Brockshire and the monastery of St. Sylvester that we are called here?
He's really drawn back, like, you have my Apologies, Ms. Hargest. I clearly misjudged the capability of the sort sent by the Covenant. I have deeply misjudged your capabilities. It is precisely that. You see, I trust that you have you told your companions the history of Saint Sylvester?
We briefly discussed about the old monastery and this ruthless bandit called the Beast.
Yes.
And the legend of Father Guthrie, who was the sole survivor of that.
Have you met Father Guthrie before?
I'm sorry, no.
He is here in Bath at my request. Because you see, there have been, since the burning, rumors of devilry and demonic influence at the monastery. There is an ill spirit that hangs over that place. It has gone beyond mere speculation and seems to be spreading. There are many who have gossiped about the influence of the demon-haunted monastery of St. Sylvester. This, to me, seems a matter best suited to one of your calling, Trevor. And he's going to you, Mr. Magi Caldwell.
No one.
I must confess, I seem, my lady, that you know more of the history than even I. And I hope that by meeting with Father Guthrie, he may be able to afford more insight. But I would have you travel to St. Sylvester, investigate these rumors, and take whatever appropriate steps you deem necessary to resolve whatever may be casting a shadow over that parish.
Well, I'm glad you've called us here. This needs to be investigated, as you said, and if there is a problem, it will be rooted out and dealt with.
Excellent. Precisely what I hoped to hear. If you are successful in this task, I can assure you, I will view this most favorably and would see the members of your covenant as good members of our diocese and the congregation therein. I have prepared, and he goes to his desk and brings back a letter of introduction to Father Guthrie. He is staying at a church hostel not far from the abbey. I trust if you do not find him in prayers in the abbey itself, you should find him there.
Very good. We will search him out, find out what he has information-wise, and we will get onto this straight away. And do not fear, we will deal with this situation.
My gratitude, and may God watch over you in your task. Unless there's anything else you wish to ask him, he will discharge you from his care, and you guys are going out. Would Jacques like to give us an infernal lore check?
Yeah, if he knows something about it, surely he would.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see, infernal lore, yeah, for sure. That's 10.
Okay. So, as you're leaving, I think Jacques will perhaps say to you, Trevor, there's devilry afoot here. You best take care, Master. Your Parma Magica will be weakened against such a thing. Your Parma Magica is one of the first sort of spells you learn. It is a invocation to protect yourself from foreign magics and hostile magics. And from your magical theory studies, you know he's not wrong. The devils, demons, if it is indeed them, they hail from a realm of power to which your magics are weaker. Not for nothing, there's also the pall of diabolism over your house. Curious they picked you to investigate this task.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, that is noted, Jack. Thank you for your counsel.
He nods like a good servant. What do the rest of you two, or the rest of you guys make of this task? Gwynedd seems to have been correct in her estimation what this might be about. Sir Edward, how is this task sitting with you?
I'm sure we'll come out fine, and we have the man and woman power to accomplish this task. Yes, my faith and my relic, I will prevail. And then underneath, he's like a little cringy and maybe not so confident.
Okay. So then, where would you like to go next? Do you wish to get yourself settled in somewhere in Bath, or do you want to go straight to speak with Father Guthrie?
I think once again it'll be just beeline straight for the Father Guthrie and just find out what we need to know, and then we can worry about accommodation and that if we've got time.
Okay.
Do you not find it odd that a priest, Father Guthrie, is not staying at the abbey itself and is staying at a hostel? Does he not trust the house of God?
He's seems to have changed his ways somewhat. He's now a hunter, or he's not so much a man of the church now in a normal way, should we say. He's not doing his sermons, and he's now a ridder of evil, it seems.
There are bounties, perhaps.
If Gwynedd, tells us is true.
Very well.
So this Father Guthrie is rather old, is he? So he must be 60 or something, or was he a young man when this was happening at?
He was a young man. He was
so he's
junior
a
priest. Exactly. So he's probably in his late 30s, mid 40s ish range.
Oh, okay.
Because 20 years ago, right? So.
Yeah. Okay. So he's old. Yeah.
Yes, I just find it odd that a man of faith, even if he's taken on a different path, does not stay with the church. And I'm curious as to why.
Well, he was at a church, wasn't he? But he wasn't at the abbey.
A church hostel, so like sort of where traveling members of the church would, or the clergy would stay while they're moving through Bath.
They're still connected to the church.
Yeah, and maybe they don't want him inside the abbey itself because he's someone who deals with things that are not so clean in the way of the church.
Let's see what he has to say and what we make of him.
Okay. So you arrive at the hostel, and while the letter from the bishop is very easily gets you invited in here, or opens the door for you, they seem a little... They're not hostile towards you necessarily, but it seems like this is a lot bigger of a pain in the ass trying to confirm whether this guy's here and whatever else than it should be. Gwynedd, would you give us a perception and guile check, please?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, each of you has a specialty listed for some of your, if not all, some of your abilities, your skills. I think it gives +1 to the results. This is lying to authorities is your specialty, Gwynedd, so that makes me think of that one. So.
Yeah, I don't know where I can enter that.
At the top? No, you can't enter a modifier. We'll just remember to add +1 to your result.
Yeah, okay.
But at the top,
yeah, and I changed it to perception.
Great.
Yeah, I can say circumstantial +1 if I wanted to.
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
So then I do.
Just remember to put the ones. Oh yeah, perfect.
Yeah. So this is 12.
All right. So I think there have been times where, in certain, say, research contexts where you've accessed, but you happen to have access to, say, the library at Oxford or the library at Cambridge, which I think both are around at this time still. Fuck, now that I'm saying it, I'm doubting myself. I can't remember what years that either of those were founded. But let's say any...
Some important libraries.
Yeah, some important library. You have found where folks just simply do not want... Those who feel that a woman's place is not in the library have given you just nonsense reasons and sort of like conversational circles. That is precisely what's happening right now. So whether this is at the doing of the hostel or the doing of something else, you did get a pretty good... What you have a slight suspicion is that... Actually, you know what? If you spend a confidence, I've got some other information.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, okay. This person seems exhausted by this. Well, perhaps if you could just leave it right here, I could have him. I'm happy to bring the message to him if you want to leave where you would be located. And he's not... I'm sorry, I don't know where he's gone. And no, I don't know where he's... Blah, blah, blah. You get the feeling that this person who keeps giving you the runaround on this, Gwynedd, they don't want to be doing this.
Okay, so maybe this Father Guthrie is someone who is a pain in the ass. I could very well imagine that this is this thing. So I think maybe we should go, and maybe someone should come here later. So thank you very much.
How do Trevor and Sir Edward feel about this constant runaround that you're getting here? I'm assuming, Trevor, it's you they're speaking to, and you keep asking, and like you're getting stonewalled left, right, and center.
And I'm sure the knight to step up and say, "Listen, lad, we're here to see Father Guthrie, make arrangements, and be prompt about it."
Trevor, why don't you give us... I see you've got guile as well. Why don't you give us a perception guile check? And... Okay. Whew. Not sure you've got something here, Sir Edward, but...
I think he's going past the... I don't know what the source of this is, but let's just get this happening here. Go and find the man.
Sure. Why don't you give us a etiquette check, please?
Etiquette?
Okay. So you got a sense that there's a little bit, like, why is this so hard? Like, this is like navigating, at an older, chantry or at the... I can't remember if it's called a conclave or not, but the meeting of the other things. Like, why is this... Oh, my God. And you look over, and Gwynnedd's got a look in her eye like she knows what's going on. And it sounds like you're probably kind of familiar with that expression on her face.
Later, come on.
And, so Sir Edward, 5. Oh, sorry, you don't need to use perception. If you're trying to you're trying to get something done here, you can use communication. Yeah. What's your communication bonus? Well, you can re-roll if you want. But why not? Let's live a little.
Communication score is a 1.
Okay, so what? So set it to communication and give us an etiquette check. Let's see if you can. Trevor, lying to underlings. I'm shocked, scandalized even that's your specialty. That is pretty good. I think finally, like Sir Edward, what do you feel in that has prompted this more direct, like, look?
Yeah, he's just watching, like, when it's and Trevor's like reactions to this, and he's like, what is going on? Why is this taking so long? And he's like, oh, maybe we're not being authoritative enough. So he kind of like puffs up the, hey, I'm a noble knight kind of thing, and he steps forward and he's like, I'm not sure what the problem is here, but you really need to address this right now. We've been sent here by the church, and we're not going to wait all day while you dither and dather. So he says it with a French accent.
Yeah. This person is very struck by your directness and also your station. He kind of looks and says, my apologies, my lord. I did not. Yeah, if I.
Nope.
Perhaps allow me to. Perhaps I missed him. Give me a moment, and he will disappear elsewhere, scuttling off in his robe. He's gone for about maybe 10 minutes, so you have some time to talk amongst yourselves. Gwynedd, like, for instance, if you wish to share your insight.
Yeah, I think maybe he does not even know where he is right now. It seems like they're totally unwilling to cooperate with us or him here, maybe. I wouldn't expect him to be back with good news. It would maybe be easier for us to leave all, and so only you can come back, Sir Edward. So you could maybe get some more information here alone. I don't know if it is because of me or some perception they have of us and our group. I don't think they would have any prejudice against you.
Make it happen now. We're here. We have a magus standing here waiting.
And
yeah, you say this to me, and I shrug. I can't make it happen.
Oh, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I look over and I nod and smile. You know, I like having a man of action with me to help me out in this situation. So we'll wait for him to return.
Yeah, I look to Jack for help. I think they will
Jacques,
listen to me.
Yeah, Jacques has a. I think he is not intervening or offering any advice or whatnot. He seems to be just observing.
Yeah,
he's been around long enough to know all mages do things differently, and though you're young, he knows his place as a grog. So he looks over at Wolfhelm, and Wolfhelm will be like. It is about 10 minutes before this junior priest returns and says, I extend my humblest apologies. Father Guthrie was in the garden, and I had forgotten, clearly. Gwynedd, you don't need to make a roll. He's obviously lying. He's terrible at it. Sir Edward, you can probably infer that even if he seems to be telling the truth, that there's a pretty good chance. Well, and Trevor, yeah, you rolled in as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I was only a 7.
7 is pretty good. Like, that's over average. Okay. And this guy's an awful liar. So you're realizing now, like, oh shit, it's exactly what she said. And he gestures, or he leads you all back into the garden. Jacques and Wolfhelm will stay behind, but the three of you will be able to join. If you make your way into the garden, there is a man who has his back turned to you, who seems to time his dramatic turn for when you are, it is best able to make a impression. And this is Father Guthrie. He turns.
We've met before.
Yeah. So, a mage in not a monastery, but a mage on holy ground. It's unusual.
We're here to do a job. Needs must. You have the information that we look for. We come seeking your advice on this situation at the monastery.
And what job is that you've been tasked with?
To investigate demonic, well, sightings or something that's going wrong at this Sylvester monastery.
Demonic? What are you talking about? What demonic?
This is what the bishop told us. And I'll show him the introduction letter or the information we was given from the bishop. It was an introduction letter, wasn't it?
Yeah. So he takes it. He takes far too long to read it. You get the sense he's read it. I think that, Gwynedd, you likely have it seems a good sense of this stuff. You can almost see the wheels turning for him, ways of trying to comply with what the bishop has asked him to do while not actually complying. And is finding that the bishop's letter is phrased in such a way that he does not seem to have any evident wiggle room for this. And the scope of authority that you are offered is quite expansive as far as questioning him is concerned. After a far too long time of him just glaring at this thing, he finally hands it back. Well, what are your questions then?
Have you been to the monastery? Can you tell us what's happening there?
Not since that terrible night. If you knew what happened there, you'd not want to revisit such things. My brothers all died in that fire. The butcher, Owen, the beast, may he burn in hell, slaughtered them all.
Do you know if this beast is still amongst the living?
He was hung not more than 5 years after. His rapacious hunger outgrew his capabilities. Captured, brought to justice, burning in hell.
And have your travels uncovered anything else since then at the monastery? Or heard of any rumors of anything?
My attention is fixed on everywhere but that. I nearly died and was sent to meet my maker in that. It's only through God's blessing that I survived that thing. The soul. 50 monks died in that fire. But
exactly
I survived.
Did you survive? If it's such a terrible event that so many lost their lives and this being was so vile.
Give us a perception and etiquette check there, Sir Edward. Let's see what comes of this.
Etiquette.
His eyes shoot to you for a second. He's pissed. And it's not quite clear to you why.
If I spend a point, would the 3 points make a difference?
13, hell yeah, it would.
Hey,
there's
call that a
something
13.
There's something about it that he seemingly does not wish to discuss. And what he tells you in a kind of angry tirade is that Owen raided the monastery. They broke in during Mass, seizing jewel-encrusted relics, books and silver platters, and cutlery. Owen didn't believe the abbot's protest that was the extent of their wealth, so Owen promised to free any monk who would reveal the hidden treasure trove, but since none spoke, he locked them all in the monastery and burned it to the ground. Everyone perished in there, except for Guthrie.
He wasn't in the monastery?
Sorry?
He wasn't in the monastery then?
He says he was outside the monastery complex when the bandits arrived and remained unnoticed until afterwards. He searched through, and he, holding up his hands, you can still see the old scars of burns through the still burning wreckage, trying to recover his at least one or any of his brothers, but they all died. You are confident, however, Sir Edward, that there's something he is not telling you.
Do you happen to know if there were any children of said Owen the Beast?
I don't doubt. Such kind spawn bastard whelps across the country where they can. I'm not aware of any, though. His was not a lineage one would hold up as a proud tradition.
Well, some kind of bargains are made and will relate even to the next generation.
His eyebrow arcs, and not in a intrigued way, in a... Young lady, you seem to know a few things about areas which the church considers forbidden. And you consort with witches. Forgive me, Magi. So in the Mythic Europe, the Order of Hermes is not the only spellcaster or like magical organization. There's all sorts of, I'm just giving context for Darren and Sir Edward, for Trevor and Sir Edward. They are sort of the organized part of Western Europe for mages, but there are all sorts of hedge witches and other types of traditions, as well as people who just have natural gifts and whatnot. So there's a wide variety of things.
Yeah, I would just maybe drop a line in Latin from one of the church classics about this. I mean, there would be books from the church about some demonic things.
Sure.
Which
Why
are
don't
not,
you give us a, what is it? I've got that one that is a kind of an all-purpose. Yeah, Artes Liberales. Why don't you give us that and your rhetoric?
Rhetoric. Okay.
Yeah, bonus. And I think that's communication. So give us a communication and Artes Liberalis, please.
Okay.
Oh, it's 230 as well. Everyone gets confidence.
Oh, so I would use 1 to make it a 13.
Okay. So you do respond in Latin to it, which Sir Edward probably with your education would recognize, and Trevor, I'm not sure.
I've got a good Latin score.
Oh, of course, because all the fucking all the names of the forms and techniques are in Latin, so of course. So you see, then he is mollified by it. He is not. Seems that you are more educated and also practiced in the art of rhetoric than perhaps what he is. You have had a classical education. He's a guy who worked in a monastery where they tanned leather until he got into his current role, right? So he backs down. What, if anything else, would you guys like to ask?
I think at that, I would say that the bishop has tasked you to help us as much as possible. Can you not tell us any more about this monastery?
I've not been back in 20 years. When I left, there was smouldering rubble. I know my brothers rest in a mass grave. The locals, in gratitude, lay them to rest. I know there are dark rumors spread for every misfortune. And while I don't doubt that Owen, the beast, did the devil's work. He was a creature all his own. There was no hand of Lucifer at play in his actions.
And do you know if sometimes when people die, they might utter a curse or something? Might there be something that maybe this Owen did curse when he was hung or something like that? I mean, in truth, she wants to know whether the monks maybe cursed someone, but she wouldn't ask it because he would always deny it. So just alluding that there might be some kind of curses or something supernatural involved.
Why don't you, let's see here. So that'll be communication. Any thoughts on what skill or what ability?
I don't know. I mean,
let's see. If you don't have an ability, you can still try it. It's just using raw communication. But if you happen to have a...
Yeah. I mean, I could try to be a little bit charming here, and just because he is someone who would know about such a thing, being a kind of a ghost hunter.
Yeah. Give us a communication and charm check, please. Wow, look at that. So you are at your most charming that you can be. And what he tells you is that, or at least what you learned from his kind of still general, unpleasant demeanor, is that he was not present when Owen was sent to hell. When he hung in a distant county and died.
Okay.
His thought is, I think, at least what, in answer to your questions, the devil places value on souls, of course, but the value of purchasing it is commensurate with the value. There was no 30 pieces of silver needed for purchasing Owen's soul. Owen did the devil's work, likely for the fun it gave him, or the enjoyment of it. And as such, there was no need for the devil to answer any of his curses or such. His soul was guaranteed, hellbound. And my brothers, and he kind of bristles at it. He says his brothers would not, what you would suggest is that in their final moments would succumb to temptation, renounce their oaths, their vows to serve the Heavenly Father.
I would never suggest such a thing. You're totally right. That is
everyone
beyond.
You can give us a charm perception check, and then Trevor and Edward, either a perception with something similar. If you've got charm, you can use that. I want to see how you read this guy's performance with this.
Good.
Okay. So let me roll for him. I'll see what he actually at. All right.
Can I add 3 to that onto mine?
Trevor push you at a 10. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
As a student with an eye for conflict, this guy is pushing the accusations back onto Gwynedd. It's a rhetorical technique you've seen at times. It's subtle, but he's pushing back on Gwynedd, so she is on the defensive to say, "Oh, I wouldn't have suggested. Like, no, I'm not. You know, whatever else." To shut down any further lines of inquiry. And to effectively poison future inquests into the monks, because you can say, like, what are you suggesting? That they were demonic? That they cried out to Satan in their last moments? And then with each of those ones, it means like any follow-up question you want, and he can go to that poison position. You've seen this before. It's not the first. This guy is, no doubt, if he is a witch hunter, an effective interrogator.
And what did the bishop? Did he give us any advice on what use he was going to be, or in this letter of the letter to introduce us? Did it say anything about, Father Guthrie will be able to assist with getting you to the monastery, or
guys,
what was the purpose?
My time has come. Gwynedd, would you give us an intelligence and civil and canon law check, please?
Oh yes, that would be most yeah. Intelligence also, yeah. I'm quite good at that. Let's see how this works out. Not so good, actually.
Seven is, although it may seem low. Remember, 7 is just above average.
Yeah, but I rolled a 1 actually. So.
Oh, so that's with the exploding. Oh no, it doesn't, because it's not
because it was not without. It was without stress.
Shit. So, would you care to spend a confidence?
Yeah, I think I should. Spend my last bit of confidence, and okay. I think it does not involve the rights of women, does it?
In this case, no, it does not. It's sort of interpreting the. Okay, so here's what you're going to gain then. Because you're thinking of this in terms of like, well, what's this? This guy didn't immediately start pushing back, and he is answering questions, and he's not telling us he's going. So you take a quick look at the letter. And the scope of authority that the bishop has granted you is, it has the necessary wiggle room to get this guy effectively to do what you want. So that's up to and including, potentially, you're coming with us to St. Sylvester. There's a reason this guy has not left Bath yet, and there's a reason that he is, stuck in this bloody hostel. He seems to have tried avoiding you. Because now, having met him, having dealt with him, I think from your role earlier, Gwynedd, you've no doubt that this guy just bullied the person at the front desk effectively to try and get them to so that they would just not let you in. So that's what you recognize in the scope of the authority. You can absolutely pressure this dude to do kind of what you need.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how I would communicate this to Trevor in. You
can simply say, "Father, just a moment," and you could step back to the other side of.
Okay, if that is appropriate, I would just and then I would communicate. Trevor, you can actually, and you should, force him to come with us. I think he's not being honest with us. He knows a little bit more than he is willing to share right now.
And you think if we take him, he will have to give up the information if put at risk?
I don't even believe that he has never been to the place
since.
Yeah.
Right. And I just give a nod. Again, thank you for your information. Most useful.
Definitely holding something back. Even in his story about the monks, there's an element of incomplete or...
Yeah. How would he know if he wasn't there?
Well, Trevor's is an authoritarian sort of character, so he will say he'll ask for the introduction letter off of Gwynedd and take it forward. Well, it seems, Father Cuffrey, that you will be accompanying us to the monastery, and I'll just sort of hold it up as requested by Bishop Simons. So when would you like to depart?
There is a look he gives that is easy to mistake as simply just fury as he's glaring at you. But let's see if anyone can pick anything else up. I think, let's see here. What might be... I think... I think we'll leave it at that, actually. We're not going to roll for it. He just seems there's something more than just beyond the fury. You're not going to... And he says, through gritted teeth, I am at the bishop's disposal. When do you wish to go? I will be ready.
And what is the state of play? Are we in the afternoon, evening, or what is the...
Yeah, it's probably, I mean, you probably arrived and met with the bishop before noon, if you made the, arrived in Bath, and then immediately went to the Bath Abbey. You may be done now as of like early afternoon, so it could be crack of dawn tomorrow. You could be ready to depart.
I think tonight we will prepare. That will give you some time to finish any business you have here. And then we shall leave at first light tomorrow. I'm sure that will be suitable for you.
At the bishop's pleasure.
Very good.
If I may take my leave then, sir.
We shall meet you here at first light.
He stalks off. You can tell from the stride and the speed of it, he's just simmering with rage over having to do this, leaving you guys behind in what seemingly is an empty, small little courtyard.
Would you like to watch the exits of the building so he doesn't make a hastily planned trip elsewhere?
I think a man of the cloth. I think, however much he resents this, I don't fear him running.
Your call.
Although not a very nice character, we must show him the respect of his position. Still,
Jacques
trusted will keep to his word.
Kind of steps forward and he says, "It's a dangerous game, playing one church official off another."
Unfortunately, it seemed the only way to get him to agree to come with us and share some information that he seems maybe holding back that may help us get through this.
I don't disagree, sir. Difficult position, Bo. Then, with that, you guys set in for the evening. Everyone gets a point of confidence. And then we're already at our mid-session break.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, we had a couple of false starts because of the stream issues, but why don't we take our mid-session break now? We'll be back in 5 minutes, and then we'll see what awaits you in West Brockshire. Yeah, I know. It's break time. You can hear Anna crying. She's very excited for break time. I know. Hey. Okay, hold on. Back in 5 minutes. All right. Sorry, Anna Banana did not want to come back inside. We're having a Chinook this weekend, so the weather has suddenly gone from like minus 16 to 4 degrees today. Yeah, it's wild. Okay. Dave, I'm not sure if you're back, but your camera is off. All right. I can get ready while we're doing this. Okay. Did I remember to load a town? Let's see.
I was just having a quick look through the rules. So the stress dice only comes in when you're in the situation where it's, stressful, basically. It's not an optional thing.
Yeah. You
can't sort of take it on when you want to. It's it's more situational.
Yeah. So it's typically like combat or other kind of high stakes things. So arguably, like, that situation could have been a stress dice situation as well. But the risk with stress dice is you're, in addition to opening yourself up for exploding dice, it's also for botches. Right. So.
But you can't make that decision. The story guide
does, but I mean, if you had suggested, it's sort of a risk-reward thing because of the potential for a botch.
Oh, she can potentially.
Yeah, like I would have said, if you had asked, like, okay, is this appropriate for a stress dive? I would have been open for that for sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Bear that in mind.
It's very light touch rules in this. Like, there's a lot of them, especially for things like, for education and whatnot, and like, the downtime or the seasonal study that wizards do and whatnot. But at its core, the game is a very, very light touch game. So, and we got a chance to use canon law in a session. So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, then. It'll be about a week's journey, all things in, just because of the circumstances and whatnot, to reach the West Brockshire. The conversation with, I might as well put him down on our map then. Okay, do I have? I did not. Yeah, I got something that'll pass through, but let me get Father Guthrie down here first. So there is Father Guthrie joining you guys. Trip. And he seemed pleased to be out and about. Anything you guys wish to do, or anything, that you want in this kind of travel montage, we're not going to roll. There are rules for like overland travel and stuff like that in the game, but for today's session, I don't think it's really all that necessary. While you're,
I assume he's very shut up. I assume he's very quiet and very to himself.
Very much so. Like, as far as the. Oop, there we're going. As much as he was a combative conversationalist while you were heading out there, or while you first met with him, he pretty much doesn't say anything unless specifically prompted about anything, and he does not make any effort to interact with any other member of the troop.
Mm-hmm. Does he do the normal morning prayers and whatever he normally would do as a monk?
Yeah, definitely. I think Gwynedd, why don't you give us a Actually, why doesn't Jacques give us a perception and infernal lore check? Oh, Anna says good luck.
Yeah, so this is something, if they just change the inflection a little bit, it's a prayer to someone else.
Oh, yeah, I am. Oof.
Yeah, no, he isn't. I don't know. He's
okay.
Maybe he's not that type of person just at the moment.
What because I mean you guys are staying at there are communities you're staying at or road inns or whatnot or carriage inns, what are they called, roadside inns? Anyway, you're making your way along. What Jacques will tell you three is that Father Guthrie's sleep seems disturbed. He is not whether by, I'm just going to put his name down here, Father Guthrie, whether by memory, by the prospect of returning to St. Sylvester and West Brockshire, he seems to be having fitful sleeps. On one of the evenings, you guys are maybe having to stay in a particularly small place. Jacques is helping keep watch during that time, and this is when he confides that, like, he does not sleep well.
As if the hounds of hell were barking at him.
Almost. Who's outside? You can tell she's feeling better, right? Like, the goober.
There's no sort of talking in his sleep or anything, screaming out or any sort of real telltale sort of things.
No, unfortunately.
He travels on his own, I take it, as well. He doesn't have any...
He does,
like
yeah.
Assistant. And does he carry any sort of... Oh, go on,
So
sorry.
I'm just going to see where the hell she's... Hey.
Maybe he isn't even aware of what happened.
In what sense? What do you mean?
Yeah, maybe he witnessed the events and escaped by some means and still feels guilty for it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be that he's in league with the devil.
Oh, yeah.
Not a soul. Blocked in either direction. I don't know. Someone must have been there at some point, but...
From his sort of, we've got this sort of idea of what he's like and what he does nowadays. Does he seem to carry any sort of specialized sort of tools, weapons, anything like that that's on show? I
think that what you see from Gwynedd, from Gwynedd's understanding of church lore and canon law and stuff like that, or canon lore, church lore. What
canon law is church law? Yeah.
Yeah. What you one second here. Sorry. What you find is that he is most certainly, from the books that you maybe see him carrying with him, Gwynedd, and the things when he does have downtime, he is most certainly the things he had accused you of, or had not necessarily accused, but had intimated towards. His role as a witch hunter is very much not in question at this point. The books he has are books on that kind of stuff. It's this is the, what is it, Malleus Maleficarum, the witch's something like that. This is before that time, but this is very much in the oeuvre of what he'd be reading.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And like I say, he carries weapons as well to back it up if he got into trouble. No. He would rely on others for that, to back that up. No, he would. It's his knowledge of hunting them down, but he would have, either
men at arms, members of one of the militant orders or something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
So, anything else that you would look into, or?
I mean, the only thing I could think of is, I mean, but I don't know how to find out about this. We are basically not meeting anyone, so we couldn't ask some locals for rumors about the place or so. I mean, they would have some sense not to go there because I heard that there is still, I don't know, wolves around, something like that.
Not until really, in all likelihood, not until you get there. There is, if you do ask about it, as you're getting closer, you're going to find that it's as the bishop feared, that the rumors of the, cursed monastery are definitely, they're not, they're the kind of thing that people share around camp, the hearth or around the tavern table. There's not really a lot of particulars about it other than the place is cursed. And what you do hear, though, is if you are exploring that you heard rumors that there were a pair of children, girls, who were trapped in there, and they were corrupted in some way, and one of them drowned themselves out of guilt over having sold themselves to Satan.
And this was after this burned down, so in recent years. So.
Definitely recent years. They say that, like, they were kids. It was, the way they talk about it is as if they were, this is within, like 5 to 7 years. Like, this is, not that all that long ago.
This is interesting.
Is there anything I can use? Because I'm not quite sure with the magic system. Is there anything I can use to try and read this guy, or learn what he's thinking, or his intentions, or can I see inside his head in any way, or learn anything?
Typically
not magic,
not subtly, like, unless you want to, but
I mean, when he was asleep, or when he's having these troubled dreams, or anything like
sure, there'll be mentum. It likely is Intelligo mentum is the combination to have a spontaneous spell. Let's see, and here we go. Intelligo mentum. So to read surface thoughts is a difficulty of 15. Pick a single answer from a mind of a target is that 2. To read the last day's memories is 20. To learn all the information you wish from a person's mind is 25.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. What are your scores in Intelligo and in mentum?
Intelligo is 5.
Okay.
Mentum is only a 1.
Okay, so your casting is a 6 then with that. And for spontaneous spells, it is, I think it's divided by 2.
It was 3, wasn't it? Divided by
it was a 2, yeah. I can't remember offhand, to be honest.
Not sure myself.
Because it depends on whether you're spending... No, it's divided by 2 if you are fatiguing yourself, and it's divided by 5 if you are not.
Oh, no, 5. Yeah, that was it. So,
yeah. So it'd be a casting score plus plus a stress die divided by 2. And if you... So you spend a fatigue in order to do that. The other thing is that if this guy has any form, if he is a holy man, if he does actually have true faith or carries anything with him like that, it will subtract. Resistance. Yeah, it effectively becomes resistance, and like you do have a penetration rating to try and get through that stuff, but that is the risk, and you're not great at, it seems, at reading auras. So I'm just trying to see if it's possible, because if you, like formulaic magic, if you fail by 11 or more, you fail to cast a spell. You can fail by up to 10, and I'm just going to see if that's the same thing, because if you can't get yourself to 15 as a total, then you're, you know...
And would he know that I was doing it, even if he was asleep? Would he have some sort of memory of it? Or
let's see here. There is a spell at 15, which is pose the silent question. You can ask one silent mental question of the target, then detect the answer. The truth of the answer is limited by the knowledge of the target. The target of the spell does not notice the questioning unless he makes a magic resistance roll.
Yeah, I don't really want to, before we get there, I don't really want him to sort of potentially detect me. It was more just try and read his thoughts or his dreams or something while he was asleep, sort of stay up one night or something on our journey. To see if I could just learn anything extra that might help us when we get there.
Okay, I'm just so you can't fall short with spontaneous. You need to, because what you do is it's an open-ended spell, and then if you don't meet the necessary target, so you would need to effectively get to, assuming you're spending a you're going to exert a fatigue level, you would need to get a 30, a 3-0, in order to achieve even this posing the silent question.
Which is very unlikely, obviously. Yeah, I don't think he would risk it.
Okay.
Just because he don't want any extra hostility and problems. So yeah, we'll leave it for now.
Here's some things. But let's say here's talk about some things you might be able to do with that. A level 5 spell could understand the meaning behind spoken words or sense a single emotion in a being. Level 10 could discover the truth of a statement. So you would need to get a 20.
Okay. So when we get there, or if he says anything that I think.
And you can spend confidence up, on your casting as well.
Mm. And can you spend multiples of confidence?
Yep, I think it is. Yeah. I think it's a max of 3, maybe, but let me double check. Here we go.
Clear it all out, Darren. Start over. Use all the confidence.
Yeah.
You may spend any number of confidence up to, but not exceeding your confidence score. I think all of you have a 3 in confidence.
Okay.
So you can get up to +9 by drawing on confidence. The other thing is you can access V as well. Vim, which is magical substance. You could try and purchase or try and use some things. If you have something that is aligned with either Intelligo or Mentum or both, then that also grants a bonus to the roll. The difficulty there is that the botch range gets a little higher, because working with magical substances runs the risk of adverse effects.
Yeah, I think he's running it through his head, and he feels that it's not quite at the stage where he needs to risk it at this moment, but he's thinking about it, and it's going to be close to the front of his mind. So if something comes up, then he might try something to see through it. He thinks he's hiding something or lying to us or deceiving us in some way. So he might try and see through that when we get there if something strange happens. So yeah, he'll just keep that in mind for now.
Okay, 3:30. Everyone gets confidence.
Yeah, I think we should just sleep and move on, and then.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys arrive at West Brockshire, and the town itself. You're passing a number of farmsteads as you're making your way into down Brockshire Road. towards where West Brockshire is. If you ask, there is a stream that runs north to south through West, it's not quite a river, but it's a little bigger than a stream. And it is about... there is a hilly area that looks like it's about maybe 2 hours north of West Brockshire on the other side of the Brock stream. Well, it answers my question there. That's where the ruins of St. Sylvester are located. West Brockshire itself does not seem to be it's a small village with a number of farmsteads, but the impression you get going through here, Wolfhelm maybe is the one who says it. Half of them are empty. Look. It's maybe later in the evening as you guys are coming in. There's only lights in some of them. There's fields that are untended. So this is a community that has the look of a place, 20 years in decline. Whatever was active here, it seems as if folk have not maintained things or departed to find their fortunes elsewhere.
And is it more so the closer we get? Is it?
Definitely. You only really get signs of the farms when you actually get within a couple of miles of West Brockshire. And it's as you're going in is when Wolfhelm points that out. These fields were more attended before. There still are definitely people here. There still are farms here. There's either less people working them or less people living here or whatnot. It's rare to see in a thriving town, if there is farmland that's available, people work it. That is not the case here.
Can we say how long this is? Like you still see the I don't know, the patches of land, so it is only a couple of years, or is it for 20 years where it is basically overgrown?
No, it has I think if you ask, Wolfhelm's got probably the best frame of reference for this. It's the look of a town that's in transition, right? It's whatever the big business was here, and the business here was the tannery at St. Sylvester. Mm-hmm. With that gone, there's a lot of people who either, were hunters or trappers who would trade would raise cattle, trade their leather to them for tanning and whatnot. If you can't do it there, you go where you can. So that's sort of the feel. There's nothing necessarily sinister about it. It's, it probably doesn't help with the reputation of demon-haunted monastery ruins, but it is not surprising when the biggest industry in the village goes elsewhere that it sort of settles down to what is sustainable. Mm-hmm. When you finally reach West Brockshire, the Ruined Monastery is a few hours north from the parish village. You see that there is a church on the main village street. It is a Benedictine. Oh no, for what it's worth, the monastery itself was a Benedictine monastery. And there is a parish priest here. Guthrie is not offering any information about the town or the changes or whatnot. He seems to be just glaring at everything that is passing, and his mood does not improve the closer you get to West Brockshire. What do you guys do when you come into town? It is unlikely that there is a place to stay necessarily, as far as the tavern in town may be able to let something out, but it's not likely that they see a lot of travelers coming through here. Alternatively, because you are traveling under the authority of the bishop, you could likely find lodging with the parish priest, whoever he is.
And how close is the monastery from the town?
3 hours trip north on the other side of the Brock stream.
And this is sort of the end of the day, is it, when we arrive? Or
I think so, for where you're seeing people coming in.
I think we should definitely talk to the local priest.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we'll see if we can speak to him and see if we can also stay there the night.
There's, I mean, apart from the, managing the church itself and seeing, taking the confessions of the locals, the priest really doesn't have much else to do. So it's very easy to find him there. And let me give you a handout. And, I couldn't. Yeah, it's that creepy, over slick AI look to this one. Sorry, guys. The one I had, his name is... There we go, Father Michael. And as you guys, knock, on the door, he answers. He's a little disheveled. He has the look of a, village priest, as it were, not the kind of polished individual that Father Guthrie is. He answers the door. Yes. Oh, and kind of is taken back by, Gwynedd and by Sir Edward and by you, Trevor. I'm sorry. Can I help you?
Yes, we are on a mission from the bishop at Bath, and we was wondering if we would be able to speak to you briefly, and if possible, look for somewhere to sleep for tonight.
Of course. Anyone in service to the bishop, Simon, certainly I'm happy to serve. What I only apologize in advance what meager things we might have to offer. I am Father Michael. I see to the needs of this parish. I hope that you need not make a roll for this, Gwynedd, but you can see he thinks he's in trouble.
Well, thank you, my good man. If we could come in, we will.
Of course.
We'll explain what we're here for.
Please, come out of the weather. And he looks over at Father Guthrie and kind of looks up and down. Father? And he gives very little indication and kind of stalks in that he had been... Very little indication that he had been spoken to at all. And simply walks in. He seems to know this place pretty well from the way he walks in and makes his way towards a small side room, which would likely serve as a larder kitchen kind of area. The living quarters for the priest.
I'll lower my voice and just say to him, do you know Father Guthrie?
Father Guthrie? No, the man looks familiar. Is he the one who's in the mission from the Pope or the bishop? I'd think. Forgive me, sir. Who are you, and what is your authority here?
I do apologise. My name is Trevor Cadell, and the bishop has asked us to come and investigate these rumours.
You could introduce yourself as I'm a Magi of the Order of Hermes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yep. Okay, then a Magi of the Order of Hermes. Been asked to investigate the monastery. There seems to be some rumours of some evil goings on, shall we say.
The bishop, praise the Lord. The bishop sent... And he gives the gesture of the Stations of the Cross. Or the sign of the cross. I don't think it's called the Stations. Is it called the Stations? Who's Catholic? Is anyone Catholic here?
The cross.
Sign of the Cross? Yeah, Stations of the
Yeah.
Cross is some separate thing, right?
The sign of the cross.
Sign of the
is-
cross.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then, sorry, I'm a lapsed Protestant, not Catholic. So the, what do you call it? The pomp and circumstance of it is sometimes lost on me. So he says, we've been well aware that's an ill place indeed. If, is he a witch hunter?
That's what we believe. That's what we've been told.
He's not here for Agatha, is he? Her soul's been saved. She's turned from Satan.
Who is this Agatha you speak of?
Agatha? You don't know? Do you not know of the rumors? The two.
Yes, we heard of the two girls.
The two girls, Agatha and her sister, Sarah. They was caught in the... They found themselves trapped in that. Somehow they managed to get themselves down into the ruins of the monastery, in the basement. And somehow in that crypt, they said that Satan himself came to them. Demanded their service and swear their all eternal souls to him in service as witches. And both of the girls, terrified as they were, they did. Sarah, God save her, drowned herself in the stream. But Agatha, he's been nothing but repentant and confesses every sin since. She's trying to live a good godly life now with her parents. God knows she'll die a spinster on account of none of the local boys. They think she's touched.
So there is a crypt which is still intact after the fire.
We've not investigated, but that's what Agatha and Sarah said, yes.
I'm pretty sure that our Father Guthrie somehow listened in to this conversation. Did he?
You can give us a perception check if you like to see if you can think. What would it be? Perception and.
Yeah, I mean, just is he visible around, or just?
He's not visible, but the parish church is not all that big. And not for nothing, like the sort of open area that you guys are talking in, it is kind of intended to carry sound. So hold on.
No, then I wouldn't even bother looking for him. I would just. This is remarkable. We have not heard of this crypt before.
I mean, it wouldn't be a surprise to you, like. In the day before, in an era before refrigeration, any place would have probably built a cellar in, and it would be.
No, but the thing I'm eager to talk about would then the story of looking for survivors there. So why not? Why? So. I think it's enough just to say we have not heard of this crypt before. I was under the impression that the whole monastery had collapsed under the fire.
Oh, it has, but that crypt's built of stone foundation.
Interesting.
It'll last till Judgment Day.
So, so this crypt has never been. Searched or cleansed from maybe witchcraft if the girls saw the devil there?
He makes a sign again too. No, sir. No, sir. Such accusations. We see clear. That place, them girls, whatever it is they saw down there, one of them was driven to depart in this world.
Yeah.
The other she'll be living till her dying days with that night in the cellar.
Yeah. Is this not what we were tasked with? Visiting the church and ridding it of whatever evil that still resides?
Yeah. I was just wondering why no one had done so before, if that it proved even a danger to the locals.
Well, sir, we're not exactly... The folk of West Brockshire, they's good folks, indeed. The loss of that... The monks at St. Sylvester, there was 50 of them. And they ran that tannery as a active operation. There was many what benefited from it here. And with its loss, so many have gone on. There's so few with so few to give. And the donations, what go back to Bath Abbey, they're paltry, sir. But you've come now. A magi and a witch hunter. Maybe you'll put things to right.
We certainly hope so. And this Agatha, she still lives in the village?
Outside, but with her family. I can introduce you if you like.
Well, you wanted to know how to get into the crypt, I suppose.
Maybe she'll be useful.
What exactly do they experience so we can be more prepared? I'm not entirely sure what preparations I can make, but perhaps this will help Trevor.
We've given little stock in her. There are those in town who take what she says and what Sarah says as gospel, if you forgive the phrasing. But I don't doubt that them girls saw something down there. And it's scarred both of them. If it'll help you cleanse the place, as you said, my lady, then she could still tell you. I can tell you in her confessions, she still speaks of that cloven monk.
What does she speak of? A cloven monk she saw?
Indeed. She and Sarah said a man in deep purple robes with unchristian symbols came to him. Cloven feet, like the devil himself.
I understand.
He once again makes the symbols talk of such things for travelers. You have probably seen his boots, notwithstanding his big fancy robe and whatnot. You have seen his feet, so he's definitely not cloven hooved, unless he's got some elaborate, disguise for it, or perhaps he uses infernal power to conceal himself, because devils and demons are tricksters, I tell ya.
It's more likely that there's some kind of survivor or something like that, maybe who hid inside the crypt, because if I understand correctly, no one has even bothered to look there. So, but I think we have to go there to find out. So, yes, so thank you very much. This is indeed a very, very detailed accord of what we need to know.
Well, we're grateful, so that you've come, that the bishop was sent such folk. Hopefully we can put that to rest, and perhaps the bishop might find it in his grace to approve a return. If we could see prosperity return here, the West Brockshire you'd see tonight It ain't what it was. In that day, this was an happy community, thriving. Good, godly folk here.
And if we could trouble you just a little more, would we be able to sleep here tonight before traveling out in the morning?
Of course. I ain't got much here, but the church provides and we make do. We can be sure. And we'll ensure hot meals as well.
And I'll put like a fairly generous donation in his donation box or whatever.
Okay.
Just to...
Sir Edward, I believe, is the one who actually has a lot of money. Like, family money. So if you wish someone to, perhaps Edward might be able to help you out with that. You, not so much.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you'd be so kind, to Edward. And I'll sort of gesture towards the donation box for our host.
He reaches into his pouch.
You got to protect against pickpockets with chainmail dice bags for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
So if you offer that up, he'll prepare a place for you. Father Guthrie will stay in a different part. He insists on taking Father Michael's spot. Father Michael will sleep elsewhere, leaving you and your grogs to discuss the circumstances amongst yourself. If there's anything else you require of Father Michael, he will certainly either answer your questions or offer up whatever you need. But it's quite clear this is a modest parish church of a kind of dying community.
Yeah. Just because I'm not one who is very trusty, I would say that we should have guards outside, or guards to guard our sleep. I'm not sure whether there would not be anything. I don't know. There seems to be a lot of fires here.
So Jacques and Wolfhelm kind of look at one another and nod, and subject to your instructions, Trevor, they'll do that.
Yes, it seems a reasonable request. Okay. Now that we're as close as we are to this place. It seems a troubled village.
This is also hallowed ground, so there is, in all likelihood, a aura of the divine here, Trevor, and that would also interfere with your magic, but it was particularly damaging to those of the infernal realm of power. Devils and whatnot fear to tread on hallowed ground. So an added reason why this is a good choice of places. Anything else you guys wish to discuss or do?
Do we believe we should go and see this Agatha first thing tomorrow before heading to the monastery?
Yeah, so I don't know if we would find the entrance to the crypt within the ruins without her telling us. I mean, we would find it eventually, but it could save a lot of time.
Yeah, that certainly is one benefit. Yeah, she could tell us what she saw on that horrible night. Maybe.
In a more hushed tone, I think Sir Edward, pulls him in and goes, "I'd also like to know about from townsfolk who've been here longer. So what really happened on the night of the fire? If there's additional information they can provide."
But do you want to scare the townsfolk by asking so many questions?
I'm not worried about the townsfolk. I want to...
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think it's in character. That's true. Yeah, okay. So yeah, and I guess when it wouldn't be either. So yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
guess
do we
it wouldn't.
want,
Yeah, it wouldn't harm to get two different sides of the story and see if they both compare.
how best would that be done?
I mean, how this?
Three of us might be intimidating to the townsfolk, but perhaps Jacques Wolfhelm might be able to canvass quietly and also more the station of the people be less alarming and be able to get the truth a little easier.
Yeah, I think Wolfhelm is probably less, intimidating maybe out of the group.
I'm sure if we told Jacques he has to smile once in a while, that it would make it easier.
But he's
There's
quite
a twinkle in his eyes if he overhears that, but not a smile.
Yeah.
he's probably suited and booted, isn't he? He's probably armoured up. I mean, he could obviously go without that. So yeah, let's do that at first light, maybe.
Okay.
Ask around town before travelling out to this farmstead or wherever this Agatha lives.
Okay. So then, who are you thinking is going to be your man or woman of the people the following morning, and what do you intend on telling Father Guthrie his role is, if any?
I'm still curious as to why Father Guthrie is with us.
I think he is with us just to watch him when we go there, because he might shine some light on it. I guess we need to talk to this Agatha without him.
Yeah, I don't think we want him talking to any of the villagers or Agatha.
Couldn't we have Jack keeping an eye on him or so, and order him to stay here, and then we talk to Agatha first and get him later?
I can stay here with him.
Oh yeah, or something like that. Yeah.
I have no problem with that. Besides the villagers.
But we got to speak to the villagers first, because she's living outside of town, isn't she? So
there's
might as well.
traditional position among the Grogs in the the name that they give to the sort of collection or the group of Grogs is a turb, which I think comes from Coturburnium, which is a collection of troops in Roman military terms. So the turb is what is it the turb? I'm second guessing myself now. I think that's what it's called.
Is it troop or?
No, the troop is the group of players, but it's the turb, I think, is the name of the, what's it called, of just the Grogs?
Well, if we get up early... Go on, sorry.
Oh, I say that, but the thing that is the most important among the turb is the shield Grog. Because what their role is to keep the mage safe. That's kind of Jacques' role here. Is so obviously you don't want Gwynedd or Sir Edward to get hurt. His primary role is to keep you safe. So wherever you go, Jacques is very likely to be going with you.
Okay. Well, I was just thinking, if we set out, get up early, first light sort of thing, and just leave Father Guthrie to sleep almost, not wake him up early, and just do our little bit of asking around in town while he's sort of getting up and having some breakfast or whatever. Maybe get that out of the way before we set out. I think Wolfhelm would be a good option.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Sir Edward could go with him, and maybe Gwynedd.
Mm-hmm.
From the female perspective, maybe people might be a bit more forthcoming with information. I don't know.
Yeah, at least maybe Gwyneth is the right person to talk to Agatha. That could be the truth. Yeah.
So maybe me and Jack will stay at the church, and you guys can do a little bit of asking around in town, see if we can learn anything.
Okay. So then, with Jacques and I don't, sorry, just to be clear, it was Turb, by the by. It was driving me nuts, so I looked it up online. Jacques will just be with you. Like, it primarily where he's going to really jump in and be kind of like right with you is if you get into combat. He needs to prevent you from getting hurt and allow you to end things, because you are a very capable way, your magic is very capable of ending things very definitively. Mm-hmm. But you're as subject to a knife in the back or whatever else as anybody else is. So, the Shield Grog's role is really to make sure you're still around. In an ongoing game, we would have more Grogs than that. So we probably have a Shield Grog, and that's sort of their personality, just being there to keep you safe. We'd also have an old vet Grog like Jacques, who would be the one. But because you guys are the makeup of the party right now, or the troop right now, he's kind of having to do double duty on that. So, if you're staying back, Gwynedd and Edward, what are you guys thinking of doing? Are you just wandering through town and trying to strike up conversations with folks, or?
We need to talk to Agatha, which I think Edward is going to let Gwynedd lead on that.
Okay.
Yeah, there is one thing I forgot to mention too. So there is with the mages, they have something called the gift. And what it is it's because you are magical, because you've been touched by it, you are off-putting to animals in a lot of cases. Some folks, depending on how pronounced how loud or quiet your gift is, people might find you off-putting. I believe you've got the subtle or quiet gift or something like that?
It just says the gift on here.
Or maybe you don't have either. Yeah, so like in the same way in old school RPGs, you kind of roll for reaction, depending on how blatant your gift is.
I mean, he's a cautious sorcerer, but I don't think that quite covers it.
No, that's just to avoid botch dice.
Yeah, that's just for
So, no, you don't have it. Okay, so no, it's not. But yeah, like it what it does is it just basically sets like the opening social stuff from stuff. Some people will like not give you the benefit of doubt because they just know something's off about you. And that can get to the point where like people are actively hostile to you right away because you give them a bad vibe right from the get-go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's probably best to stay out of it then.
Okay, so then, who's doing the talking here?
Yeah, okay. So I mean, can we go directly to her house? And who's there? I mean, if it's...
Sorry, did you want to talk to Agatha first, or did you want to talk to townsfolk first? I may have misunderstood.
Yeah.
I thought you guys were
Yeah,
talking...
no, I'm confused now as well. That's the only problem I have. I think, Darren, you do the talking, and then now.
Well, it was just, I don't know if, is Agatha on the way to the monastery, or is Agatha sort of in the opposite direction, or
monastery
how far
being
out
north,
of town is she?
her family would be in one of the towns on either side of let's say on the same side of Brock Stream as what the monastery is, but the monastery is like 3 or 3.5 hours north.
So it wouldn't take long to get to Agatha and back to town.
Not at all.
No, okay. Well, maybe go and speak to Agatha first as a group, just safety in numbers sort of thing. But yeah, maybe speak to her first. And if you don't get what you need, maybe we can ask someone in the village. But she seems to be the obvious person to get the information from, hopefully.
Okay. Then, Gwynedd and Sir Edward, are you bringing Wilhelm with you, or is he staying behind?
I think he'll hang out at the parish.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So then, It is only about maybe half an hour to get yourself out to where the farm is. Edward and Gwynedd, are you just riding on the back of Edward's horse then, I guess?
I could, yeah.
So you could walk, or because Edward's got his own horse, and otherwise you'll be taking the wagon out.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I have no. I could walk myself, I suppose. But...
So as you guys are riding out, what you see is that there is a couple, like a man and a woman who are older, who seem to be working in the field for this, and there is this particular farm that you've been told is the one belonging to Agatha's parents. There's a woman as well, a young woman who's working a little further off in the field, who looks like this. She doesn't have pearls around her neck.
Hey, girl. She gets the plastic ones from Michael's.
Okay.
So she's otherwise working in the field, and she looks up. She's scruffy. She has that kind of look of a like premature aging, the way that living rough, does, or a challenging life. But she's not. She's maybe your age, Sir Edward, around that. So she must be. This must be Agatha.
Mm-hmm.
And she sort of stands up and is a little perplexed by, who you are. She looks over at her parents, and they gesture something like, "Go see what they want," kind of thing. So she walks across the field. And do you say anything before she gets to within kind of like comfortable speaking distance, or?
I think we'll dismount.
Yeah, I think I'll get off the horse. Yes.
Okay.
And I'll walk the horse so we can have a conversation face to face as opposed to looking down on her.
And she finishes walking across the field, covered in mud. Like, she's a farmer peasant look. So she walks over and kind of like wipes her brow. She's clearly been working for a couple of hours already when you come up. And she says, "Would you like water for your horse?"
That would be much appreciated.
Yeah. Okay. So,
we can get. She looks over in the direction of West Brockshire. She says, "You're not far from the village."
But we actually came here to speak to a young miss named Agatha.
Her eyes kind of brighten up. Agatha?
Who's in no trouble. We were just seeking some information.
Well, I'm Agatha. What?
No. Pleasure.
Oh. Yeah, my name is Gwynedd Hargest, and this is Sir Edward. Our business here is that we were sent by Bishop Simon of Bath to investigate the ruins of the old monastery. And we were told...
Her face, when you mention that, twitches as if she was hit with something.
Yeah.
Are you all right, miss?
Yeah. We know this must be a very unpleasant memory for you, but we would like to talk about how you got into this crypt beneath the monastery.
She's looking back and forth between you two, and she's kind of looking over. She looks fearful. And why don't you give us, let's see here, either Edward or Gwynedd, give us a charm and communication check, please. We'll see how...
I could.
Okay.
And this is always the moment when you closed your character sheet.
I think, since this seems like a stressed eye situation too.
Yeah, this is perfect.
Let's live a little.
Yeah. Charm and persuasion, but there is no persuasion.
Not persuasion, charm. Charm and
charm and
communication.
communication. Oh, I'm sorry. I would just misheard. So yeah, charm and communication, and with stress die. Okay. So let's see. Yeah, and maybe I would just be confident and say this was a 14.
Did I give you guys confidence at 4 o'clock? I don't think so.
I don't.
Quickly use the confidence.
There you go. So you guys have, you're already maxed out for your confidence, but Gwynedd, you would have got one, and if you want to spend on this, that'll put it up to 14.
Yes.
So yeah, you modulate your tone to, it's not necessarily friendly. You want it's reassuring and, making clear that she's not in trouble, because she really seems like that is the case, right? Armed strangers come riding up to her family farm, and probably she's a little worried. I think the father will come over as well to sort of like want to know what this is all about, if you're going to bring her somewhere to talk about this. What explanation do you give the father, if any, or do you just tell him that it's, we're here on business with the bishop?
We were here on business of the bishop to get rid of any possible threat that might still linger in the ruins of the monastery. And we heard good things about Agatha and how she works and behaves from Father Michael. So we have no quarrels or no indication of any wrongdoings by her at all means. We just wanted to know how exactly they got into this crypt, because we need to go there ourselves, I suppose.
So, if there's any information on what it is they saw, that would also
be the next step. But let's just start with the first.
So they're satisfied with that, and Agatha will meet with you on her own. She is not going to push, she's not going to insist on her parents being present or anything like that. You may get the sense that's because she doesn't want them to know, maybe. It may only be Father Michael and Sarah, who are the only ones who know what was seen down there. Yeah. Where do you want to have the conversation? In their family home, out by the barn, in the field?
I would be okay with anywhere. But I don't know if this is a conversation that would get her into trouble because other people would watch it, but I don't know. I mean, they have seen us going there, so it's no point hiding that we talk to her, I suppose. So let's, if we can do it in the field, so we at least have an eye on the horse.
Okay, Sir Edward, any preference?
As long as the young lass feels comfortable.
Okay, I think in the family kitchen is probably where she is going to be most comfortable. So what you get out of her is, it's clear she was able to, she and Sarah, a friend, were able to get in there, and underneath the rubble, there's a small enough gap that you can squeeze your way in there. They'd heard another child say that there were treasures in the vault that the beast never got. So they thought it'd be fun to go down there and see what they could find. What they said, and her story doesn't make a lot of sense because she gets quite emotional about it and starts kind of like just blathering stuff out. But it includes that it is full of flames and screaming monks. It burns at night, she says. And it burns in secret. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the demon abbot in the crypt. He would not let them leave until they agreed to hold a secret black mass every full moon. And he taught them how to do it. It wasn't more than a year before Sarah drowned herself. And Agatha confessed to Father Michael.
Mm-hmm.
And she describes a figure very much like what you heard from Father Michael. Cloven hooved, hunched, a purple robe with strange symbols on it. Inhuman, with horns. Clearly a demon in her mind. And
I'm sorry, but this figure she describes, she also recognized him as the abbot, or this was? I'm just
so
now a little bit.
She's calling the demon abbot. She wouldn't.
Okay.
She's a simple person. She wouldn't have a frame of reference of what it specifically is or was.
Yeah.
She's calling it a demon abbot. If you press her on the particulars of that, why do you call an abbot? Well, they're high up in the church, ain't they?
Yeah, okay, I understand.
His robe's fancy.
Yeah.
And what I remember from the Saints' Day we did in whatever the nearest town is, they wore a fancy robe. They was a bishop or an abbot or something.
Mm-hmm.
That's all she can really recall.
Yeah, this was quite a tremendous help.
Anything
So,
further you wish to ask of Agatha?
And how they got in there? I don't think she did.
Yeah, they got in there with a little bit. There was, but how did they get out? The same way they came in?
We were able to come out the same way once we swore to the demon abbot's pact.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I guess she could at least describe somehow that this is, I don't know, at the beginning of the building or wherever this is.
There's she'll describe precisely where to go in the pile of rubble that she was able to crawl under.
Yeah. Okay.
And she tells him that neither you will fit, though. They were 9 at the time, so like they were able to easily make their way under. But
there must be another way. We'll find it.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess I don't know. There must be some small coin I could give her. I mean, I'm not rich by any means, but I guess I'm at least.
She will. I don't think so. Like in the mythic Europe setting, cash currency for one is a lot less common, and you guys are not. Sir Edward probably has access. I can't remember. Gwynedd, she doesn't have wealthy as well, does she?
No. But I was just, I don't know. More like, I don't know if you would give a child a dollar or something, like, you know, it's not like much money at all.
Yeah, Edward could do that, although, I mean...
Yeah, or maybe she has, I don't know, some kind of token of appreciation that she... maybe she has a brooch or something like that. Not.
What would she do with that? She's not anywhere near a town. She couldn't trade it to anybody.
No, but it's not like, it's just to give her something for, I don't know, just to be nice. You know?
Yeah. No, it's just what's Gwynedd struggling with here? Because it's obviously she feels for this girl.
Yes. So I think she's I mean, she knows how it is to be someone who knows something that they shouldn't probably know because it is not something that women are told to know. And so there's some just... she's maybe sees a little bit of her struggles ahead of that.
And not for nothing, you're not wrong to think like Agatha is likely to, when her parents die, be forced to sell the farm, and then, if it's not stolen from her, and then make her way to a larger town and hope people don't know of her reputation from before. Yep. So if that's your interest, Gwynedd, offering to take her with you and money, that actually might be something that, if you do genuinely want to try and do something to save her from this, because otherwise you know precisely where she's going to end up.
Yeah, maybe that would be something, but I think we don't need to make this decision right now. So
yeah. So but it's interesting because if you're leaving, maybe Sir Edward, as you guys are getting ready, you realize that Gwynedd's got a head of steam worked up over this thing, and like, she knows a fair bit about church law and stuff like that. And do you think that Gwynedd and Edward know one another well enough to know that Edward be like, oh, it's because of, she's seeing a fellow woman in a absolutely hopeless situation? Or would he think that, oh, she doesn't trust her because she's a witch?
No, I think it'd probably be the prior. He's also seen her, reflect even on this little excursion with how she had to deal with Father Guthrie earlier and so forth. It's not, this is a daily occurrence from what even the short time he's been around her. So yeah, he could probably see her relating really heavily to Agatha.
So Gwynedd is probably the first one out to your horse, just kind of waiting for you to come out and collect it as you say your goodbyes to Agatha and to the father. And what do you say to Gwynedd, if anything? Or do you just ride back in silence and let her kind of have her, work through it on her own?
Yeah, I think he'll just let her have the silence so that she can figure it out, because she'll say something when she's sorted through what's going on in her head. Mm. But he will throw out tough situation in this town.
Yes. Very tough indeed.
Even if we defeat whatever this evil is, that's not going to make things right.
One girl is already dead, yes.
Also, not for nothing, this is sort of where grogs and folks in service to the Covenant come from often, is when they can't find... This is why, Gwynedd, you're part of the Covenant. They don't give a shit if you're a woman. They don't give a shit what you want to do. So long as you've got value to the community of the Covenant, you have value to them.
Yeah.
So that's, I guess, I hadn't even thought about that, but that's another potential for this, is if you want to try and give her a chance, that's a way to do that.
And maybe, I don't know, there might be some, she was touched by some kind of magic, maybe. So there is maybe even some kind of responsibility for the Hermetian order, to Hermetic order, whatever, to take a little bit of care of the victims of wild magic.
Hmm?
But I think that is something that has to be discussed with Trevor, because I think Gwynedd is not in the position to make that decision.
So we're doing a different way of awarding confidence right now, but that's exactly the kind of like great character roleplay moment that would get confidence. So you can take a point of confidence. That's great stuff. So when you guys return so forgive me, you're going back to check in with Trevor and the Grogs, or are you heading Yeah, so you're checking just to let him know what happened with Agatha first?
Yeah, I don't know if canvassing the town's really going to yield much. We could probably just get Trevor and head up to the monastery and...
Yeah.
I will tell you, in a town that has only one parish, you know who knows everything that's going on in town?
The guy we already talked to.
The confessor, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I was thinking about that after you mentioned confession thing earlier. I was like, oh, yeah, I don't think anybody who's got some deep secret is going to be known by, Father Michael. So
yeah, like he wouldn't be able to violate the sacrament. What is it? The sacrament of confession, but he could tell you broadly about what the circumstances in the town are, if you wish to learn that stuff. So, Trevor, what have you been doing in the interim? Father Guthrie, barring you going in to try and interact with him, he's going to stay in his own part of the chapel or the church.
Yeah, we'll leave him in there to stew until we're ready for him. I guess I would just see if the father's got any more information that he could, just anything he could think of.
Since
Is there anything else happened?
I will tell you one other thing. Since one of the techniques is Veem or Weem, which is magic, and I think Intelligo Vim might be a way of learning about magic. That's Tarum. So, like, for instance, you had difficulty with your perception. Perhaps you could improvise something.
And Darren, we need to have magic now. I mean, we would have played a whole session of Ars Magica without any spell.
So this would be to detect the presence of an aura is a level 1 spell. So that is 5 difficulty.
All right.
What is your Intelligo and your Vim or Vim?
5 and 0. So.
Okay. So you would just need to roll a 5 on your stress die in order to succeed in this.
Okay. So. Do I just use the roll in? Because
I think you can select each of them. Can you not select a 4-mana technique?
Yeah.
And then I think there's. Let me take a look here. I thought there was a button for spontaneous magic. Let's see.
Oh yeah, I think design spell, is that it?
There's magic. If you go to spells.
Yeah, I've got it, I think.
Here we go. Design spells.
It's the stress one, is it?
It will be stress, yeah. And hold on.
Huh?
Wait, here we go. Spontaneous spells. Fatiguing, non-fatiguing. I think it's always a stress die with spontaneous. So then,
we do.
Yeah, you see under base casting totals, you can select, I think, the technique. Yeah, drop down menus.
So this is a fatiguing one, would it be?
I'm assuming because fatiguing is divided by 2, non-fatiguing is divided by 5.
It just makes it too hard otherwise.
Yeah, and fatiguing will put you down to weary, which you could then recover in 10 minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not weary even. I think it's winded. It's your first one. 7.5 is more than 5. That's a great looking card too. Wow. Love it. What does your magic look like as you're kind of testing the aura of this church?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, because there's no real sort of guidelines to that, is there? You can be anything you want, really.
Can be whatever you... You know it's going to be showy. And I'll tell you this, if you give me 1 confidence, which you'll get back in a second here, it'll make it to 10. Oh, hold on. No. You would need to spend 2 confidence because it's halved, right? So if you give me 2 confidence, not only will you detect the presence or absence, you'll also detect the realm of power it's aligned with.
Oh, let's do it. Let's do it. I'll spend 2.
So there is a level 1 aura of the divine here in the church.
So is that coming from a person, or is that just the
sanctity of the place?
The building itself?
Yeah, it's hallowed ground, quite literally.
Okay.
So this is the kind of thing, if, for instance, there is a infernal aura at the church, you could use a similar spontaneous spell in order to detect that.
And I'll ask, since I've done this, I'll ask the father, would this place, this monastery, the ruins, would it still have any sort of holy existence still there? Would it still be blessed?
I mean,
or
it's built on hallowed ground, no doubt, but it ain't been sanctified in 20 years. Nor is it suffered depredations at the hands of Owen the Beast. I could not say, sir. I would hope that God Almighty would still be looking down on it. Your understanding of how the realms of power work is much more sophisticated than what this guy does. He thinks in terms of, he doesn't think of such. And I mean, it would also be a challenge for a man of faith like this to understand that, like, magic can be quite powerful, just like divine can, just like infernal can. He would think God is paramount above all things, right? So
yeah, so this is all belief. Mine's a bit more practical and detecting stuff. And
certainly.
Yeah. Okay.
You also would get at 431 confidence. So you would actually have 2 now. So
okay. It's just that if it's still there, then potentially it would give us some sort of help or resistance against, some sort of demon or
less. It would be resilience to you. More, it would, if there is an aura of the divine there, it would weaken infernal things that have infernal might. But unfortunately, divine also resists magic as well. So if you were trying to affect something there, trying to cast spells in a church is trickier.
So it protects me, but also makes it harder for me.
Again, doesn't protect you. It weakens them.
Well, yeah, in a way.
What protects you is the Parma Magica.
So we'd both find it more difficult to use.
You are both creatures of different realms out of your element in the divine, if they came in here.
Yeah. And if the monastery still had any sort of aura itself. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So I can try and detect that when I get there, potentially. Yeah.
Because you just take 10 minutes and then you're no longer winded. You also, with the first level of fatigue, you don't actually take any penalties. It's when you start getting weary and further down is when you start accruing penalties. Unlike the damage, it does have a clear path of like 1 level down to down to down.
Yep.
So,
okay.
Then I think probably that's when Gwynedd and Sir Edward will return. You can hear the clip-clop of his horse through town and the jangle of his armor. Gwynedd seems to have a bit of a troubled look on her face.
I'll go out and I hope you learned the information we were looking for.
Yes, we know how they entered. It's not clear. They say we can't enter this way. It's not clear if we can produce a larger opening or if we have to find another way in.
And they described what they saw?
Yes, and I would just briefly summarize that they had some kind of vision or image of the burning, like the burning would still happen. They could see it. They could recreate this, and they were told to do black mass, kind of black mass each month, by some what she called a demon abbot. Yeah, I still don't know whether this is a demonic creature or a human being in some kind of clever disguise. We will see.
What Trevor could tell you as well, not to throw a further wrench into this, but there are horned and cloven-hooved creatures in the myths and legends about some magical creatures and some fey creatures.
Yeah. So it might even not be a demon, or it might be someone pretending to be a demon.
Okay.
Or a misunderstanding. I think if you ask a layperson if they saw Trevor call fire from nothing and then hurl it at enemies, they could call that demon's work, not understanding that magic is actually at play here.
Yeah.
And if we're bringing Father Guthrie, he would know the layout of the abbey prior to the fire, and maybe he has some insight on how to get below.
And do you think he might also be able to give us some any ideas on how to kill such a creature if we described it? Since he's a witch hunter, you know.
Yeah.
Why don't we
Maybe.
play that up a little bit instead of we dragged you out here because we thought you were not being truthful.
Yeah, we should definitely do that. On the other hand, there's another thing we have to discuss a little bit. So this girl, Agatha, she has a place in this village right now, but this will certainly not last, and she is touched and tainted by the magic in a way. So probably she is one of those who need to find some kind of refuge in our covenant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, if it all goes to plan, then maybe we could offer that to her.
One thing to consider,
leave.
Trevor, is the legacy of House Titleist. In the 10th century, remember, the leaders of Titleist were executed as diabolists, and that is a shadow that holds over you. So I'm not saying you can't do it. It's something just to consider. That bringing back a former witch made a pact with the devil.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dave, I'm talking over you. What were you saying?
No, and someone who's done a black mass for months until their friend committed suicide. Yeah, that's not.
Yeah, but she was 9 years old. Come on.
And you don't think the witch hunters are going to burn a 9-year-old who's now 25?
19.
19.
Yeah, she looks older, but she's 19.
Well, that's for a later discussion. We've got a mission to deal with,
Monastery.
and we need to concentrate fully. So I need you at your full attention, Gwynedd. Can't be distracted by some young girl. This is a dangerous situation.
Trevor and Sir Edward. Gwynedd, I think you're just distracted, unfortunately. I did roll for you, but you didn't roll great. Trevor and Edward. You're rustling from the little courtyard on the side of the church. You see just the end of Father Guthrie's robe. He clearly was listening in and heard likely everything you just discussed.
Well, I shall seek him out at this point anyway. I was going to go and speak to him.
Okay. If you go back in, I think he does a piss poor job of trying to pretend that he was, in the whole time, and has that look of kind of the same thing you've got from him before. He just responds with any kind of accusations with anger and, projected accusations, as it were. What do you say, Trevor?
Father Guthrie, we are preparing to head to the monastery, and after speaking to the people of the village, then there's been rumors of a demon or some sort of creature seen at this monastery site, and we look for your guidance as a hunter of creatures and witches. Would you have any insight on how to kill such a hooved creature with horns?
He looks very what's the word I'm looking for? Not unmanned, because he's not scared. Unmoored. You can see his mind is sort of reeling with what you've said, and he... I cannot say before one must see what information you intend to go there.
Of course, that is the whole point of us coming out here.
He seems to be just boiling, and something is holding him back from speaking. And then, I will do the bishop's will. What you need. Tell me when we're going, mage.
We shall be leaving shortly.
You will find me ready.
And we expect your assistance when we get there.
You will have nothing less. And he turns and heads back up to Father Michael's room, to be honest. Sir Edward, you probably come in at the behind and catch. Both of you guys would probably come in and catch the last of that. And if you spare a look back at Jacques Gwynedd, Jacques has a look of... There's a time when you know that he needs to do his job, which is to keep Trevor primarily, but really as much of the troop as he can, safe. That's the look on his face right now.
We should depart.
If you maybe unlatch or whatever else, or make sure that your sword is free in its scabbard, Edward, Jacques will just slowly do a nod in your direction.
The peace nod is off.
So, anything further you guys wish to do before you head out to the monastery? Forgive me, the ruins of the monastery.
Yeah, we'll thank the father and for his hospitality. And
you're not coming back then?
I hope so.
Well,
but now.
And he gestures over you. God protect you and your works. If the bishop sees God's grace in your magics, far be it from me to suggest otherwise, Trevor. So he gestures on you, and you all ride out. What's the mood like as you guys are riding out the 3.5 hours into the foothills where St. Sylvester's monastery once stood?
I think Trevor's... I think he's probably a bit scared, to be honest. This is his first time. He don't want to let down all the people, the house, the convent, the others that are in the group. They're probably looking to him to sort of potentially put this thing down, if it exists, if we find it. And he's sort of untested in this situation, so he's pretty nervous and scared, I'd have said.
Do you think that Jacques would be able to read that on you?
I think he's too much of a veteran and seen too many. I think he'd see through it. Yeah, he'd be trying to hide it, obviously, but I don't think he would be able to hide it completely from such an experienced guy. At
one point, he'll walk up. Or you guys are riding on the wagon, right? So, he comes up and kind of, he maybe just waits until you sort of recognize that he's walked up and is standing next to you. He sees your face. He locks eyes with you. And he says, You just stay behind me, Master. You do what you know. Leave it to me to do what I.
I hope what I know is enough to deal with this threat. But thank you.
Your training got you through your apprenticeship. Use a mage. You just do what you know. He winks at you and steps a little further forward to check in with Wolfhelm, see what he sees. Gwyd and Sir Edward. Sir Edward, you're actually riding on your own, I suppose, because you're not, in the wagon riding along with everybody else. How you feeling?
I think he's, I don't know if it's fear or he's not scared. But he's like trying to overcompensate for lack of experience and knowing what to do in this situation. And so he's kind of looking to Trevor to lead and tell him what he'll have to do. And, but in the meantime, he's just thinking, okay, I'm going to do what I have to do. And he's like trying to mentally pump himself up, but it just comes across as like not really paying attention. He's like, like stone-faced, just running through all these scenarios in his head, trying to and if it does this, I'm going to come across shield high, and then it's just, oh no, but if it does that, I'm going to roll to the left. Like almost like a professional athlete, mentally preparing by going through all these scenarios. He's doing that.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think it would be noticeable to Jacques?
Yeah, he's probably not. He's not like actively riding and paying attention to what's going on. He's allowing his horse to just kind of walk behind the wagon kind of thing.
Okay. So if he looks back and kind of, slows his stride to get back to you. Sir Edward?
Yes, Jacques.
I don't know what we're to expect when we get here. MacLeod and I will be keeping Trevor safe so Z can do what he can do. Trust that whatever you can deal with, you will deal with. And what he can, trust in the mage.
Yes. This sort of thing isn't in knighthood training, if you know what I mean.
Nope.
So I'll just do what I can.
Well, my plan is, if something presents itself as unfriendly, I hit it with steel. And if that don't work, I hope the mage has got some plan.
I'm sure my steel will be fine. The finest steel,
I have full confidence, sir. One can't plan for what's unknown.
I forgot one of his flaws is overconfident. So
yeah, nice. And I love that the idea, he's for me, okay, thank God. Oh no, wait a minute. Oh, no, I'm not looking. Ugh.
No, I know exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah, and then Gwyneth.
No.
How's she feeling riding out here?
Yeah, I mean, it seems so dangerous and real. Like before, she was only reading books, and now I think this meeting with Agatha has troubled her more than she would like to admit, because to her it always seemed like there was maybe magic involved, but maybe not. Now she's more sure than she was before that there was some evil infernal thing going on here, and she's not sure she can really handle it, but she wouldn't say.
Okay. So then let me find yard for you as you come riding up to the ruins of the monastery of St. Sylvester. And there we go. This guy's. That's what you find riding up. It sprawls out for a considerable distance, as you can imagine, having a workhouse where a tannery once stood, as well as the cells for 50 monks for their, things. The only thing that seems alive here is a single black cockerel strutting its way through an open yard. A rooster. Making his way. And that black bird looks over at you and says that we have run out of time for today's session. So...
The other goes some other time?
Well, we will see. The players, you generously committed to one session. I didn't want to rush it to the point of concluding it, because I want to see how the game plays the way we would play games. But of course, I would be open to concluding the story with you guys. But for now, that is a white whale landed, guys. Before we finish our outro, we got a couple of minutes here. What did you guys think of Ars Magica thus far?
I think setting-wise, very intriguing. Seems it seems less like a traditional fantasy setting, obviously, but like being situated in a mystical Europe. But at the same time, it also feels, I don't know, I was getting, maybe it's because of what this session or what we were playing, I was getting not quite Blackbird vibes, but like kind of like Europe is pretty damn dark. Like this is not a friendly, happy, like we're dealing with some ugly stuff here. So yeah, it was kind of cool. And the game mechanics seemed to be pretty on point. Not a lot of like walking around, but I really like that you can change the characteristic that you're using on the skill that you're checking. So like we can do that in like the 5e sheets, but you have to do a custom skill, right? So like this, it just makes it super easy to say, oh yeah, I'm going to use communication with etiquette instead of perception with etiquette, and it's a different twist on how you're using it. That was kind of a cool mechanic.
Mm. Darren, Ingolf, any thoughts? We didn't get a chance to get in a fight yet. We didn't really get a chance to use any of your ritual magic or whatnot, so I appreciate you haven't seen any parts of those things, but...
Yeah, I mean, it has a story, and that is maybe the most interesting thing so far, but I mean, I could see this kind of idea that you slowly build this more epic, century-spanning, basically, story out of it. Like the old One Ring first edition had this campaigns which basically went on for generations, and I think this game has a lot of neat ideas to do this. I would say, like, and this is, I think this is really trying to build more of a world to play in than to play a story. It's like you said with Traveler, in a way, it's very similar. With Traveler, you maybe you have your plot, but then you start building from there, and it emerges in a way. And I think this, I could see this being done here, and I like this idea of this where you have this. So my character basically is absolutely useless unless it comes to knowledge or law or something like that. But then it is okay to have such specialized characters if you have others to fall back on. So.
Yeah, and it's, I think for yours as well, like those spots where, the two things I'll say about your character: one, the place where you did shine, like you super fucking shone. There was really interesting ways you were able to add insight into the into certain context and whatnot, like the lore dump stuff that you need to do from somebody. You really hit that role. And the way you chose to roleplay with it, like Agatha isn't presented and in any way in the adventure as if like, oh, and here's someone who could go back to your, enjoying the Covenant. But over the course of the session, it's like, oh God, like, yeah, that is a potential, if not, it may not be a happy outcome from her, but at least it is certainly a more hopeful one than where she would find herself now. And that's just that nothing plans in the adventure for that kind of thing. Like you don't plan to have that. And you could definitely see if that character was taken in, who the fuck knows what's happened? Is she really free of that demonic influence? So Sir Edward seems suspicious of that, and there may be some merit to that, or she may just be an innocent person who got duped as a child and did genuinely have a, change of heart. Who's to say one way or the other? So that was just a reason I wanted to spend time with that during this session, is because it was such an interesting development that is driven seemingly by your character's own beliefs, rather than like the party or the whatever else, and might cause friction or a problem for the group too. Love it.
And the whole part about being useless, I don't know if I to some extent I understand what you're talking about, because when we were doing that whole discussion about the lore and stuff, I kept going through my sheet. I got nothing. I have like almost nothing to use during that part, but both your characters, the mage and the sage, both are actively in there pulling out information. And I'm like, I got it. I'll use etiquette. I'm like, is he trying to deceive us? I'm like, otherwise I don't know what I'm doing, because that's not my character. He's muscle. He's there to be there if he gets into a conflict.
What about you, Darren?
I think the jury's out for me only because we didn't get to see quite a few parts of it. I enjoyed the session again because the story and that. I didn't have any problems with the system. It all seemed to make sense, but I would have, obviously it's not wasn't possible, but I would have liked to seen the magic, and the combat, just to see how that played out. And I haven't read enough of the rules, but I do like the idea of the troop and the different characters and the support characters, and they're all potentially going to level up. So a lot of the ideas sound good and solid, but haven't had a chance to actually experience them in like a campaign or anything. So yeah, on paper I think I would enjoy it and I'd like it, but you would have to test it. But yeah, I would definitely play it again. The magic was quite intriguing, and I was starting to get my head around it, but yeah, we didn't get to really engage with it.
The magic is easily the most complicated part, and it's part of the reason why when you play the mage, you don't take control of any grogs, because you got enough on your plate to focus on that part of it. But it's pretty easy to figure out how you could spontaneously make use of magic for some of those things. And I can't remember if Confidence was in 3rd edition. I'll bet you it was, and as I forget about it. But the Confidence, what a great narrative meta currency especially for that kind of thing, to make that work. So if you need to get that kind of magic shit off, you can do so. It doesn't mean that you can do every powerful spell, but it does mean that you've got a lot deeper bench of options just to try shit out. Especially for stuff you're actually good at or, inclined towards.
Yeah, I like the idea that there is mechanics to sort of come up with your own spells, but it's probably going to be quite hard. But you can like exhaust yourself to do it, and like you say, use your confidence. And
well, one of the neat things too, like I always love seeing characters develop based on whatever happens in a session. One of the things you could do too is you can research spells. So not only can you learn spells that are in the spellbook, you can create your own spells. You spend a season researching them, and then you add that in. So instead of rolling as spontaneous, where you're divided by so that's the kind of thing that that I think it gives you something to do. So your character is active during the time when they're away from the table, but everybody is going on, and then every one of the mages has some reason to go in and go out and, you know, take part in that as well in the adventures. But there's also something you get from keeping them back home.
But I think, and this is only a personal thing, it's another one of those systems that I don't think it'll ever shine until you're doing campaigns and
100%. Yeah.
You know, a one shot. Maybe it's not the system for a one shot potentially to get it out there and
you could
really see it how it works.
I think in 4 hours you could. It just that I think hearing how nervous all of you guys were of going to the monastery, I was much more interested in getting to that point for you as the players with this system than I was necessarily just like trying the mechanics out, because I'm so but I will say you could mechanically get it done if you were a less deliberative DM than what I am, or story guide, I guess.
But what I'm trying to say is I think some of the unique bits for me, and there's definitely possibly other systems out there because I don't know a lot of systems.
Yeah.
That you can have that shared limelight. Oh, you take your magie out this time, and I'll be the back support guys. But you wouldn't do that unless you're playing multiple sessions.
For sure.
And
that and the covenant part,
characters.
And the development over time too of seeing your characters grow, and the history of the covenant, like all that stuff would only come out over the course of, or also seeing how new members come to the covenant or leave or whatever else. All of that stuff would come, from that long-term play. But it's I think it's a huge strength of the system that it is a collaborative build for that, in a way that's unlike every other game. You could try and do that. This game gives you clear structures for how you do that. Right? There's one of the things they talk about is how the Covenant is the extra characters, the other member of the troop, because it's the shared thing that you guys are all developing. You're also developing the Covenant itself physically and metaphorically over the course of time as well. But
all of that to me, feels like it just get bigger and better, and rather
absolutely.
than and character creation, I think, would be interesting as a group, and trying to make a group together and stuff.
All the characters I went with, because I just am not familiar enough with the particulars of it. You guys have the templates that they have out of the core book. Yeah. And then what their suggestion is, the first time you play with templates, just so you see how everything works, you see the importance of every little thing, and then you go on to building your own characters. You're free to build your own character right away as well, but it's the suggestion in the book. So this was it was neat seeing how everyone, even amongst only two companions and one mage, you kind of had a lot of your bases covered with it. That I'd like to say that was my planning, but I really didn't look too closely into what the skills of this is really a matter of I'd rather be lucky than smart, and it has worked out that way. But
I would just something I said before we played. It's like, so if you have these RPGs like The Witcher or Buffy or so on, where you have this singular character which is in a way much superior because he or she can do something that the others can't do, I think that's a clever way to cope with this difference. So it is we have the central piece, and we know that the Grogs will sacrifice themselves to get him to get out alive and so on. But then again, it felt like this was a worthwhile addition. This is really, I only know this from the Star Trek thing, where you have this supplement characters from the crew you can bring in. But I've never seen a system make it like really part of the game.
Yeah.
This is very, very interesting.
Yeah, it's a from my side, this was everything I could have hoped it would be, to be honest. We didn't get to see combat yet, we didn't get to see magic yet beyond a couple of small things, but that's kind of what I want the That's what I would want the game to. Our Paradar game is very much, you know, most of the time is spent some skill checks and role playing and whatnot, and the fights and whatnot do come up, but they are the conflict is more often than not between you and the world than it is specific actual violence and whatnot, and that's kind of what my ideal Ars Magica game would be like that, and would be focusing a lot on the personal, you know, the ways the characters themselves connect to it. And it's so cool the way we saw some of that coming out with just pre-gens in it. And the I love the confidence. That's an extremely generous with giving +3 to the roll as a result of each thing. It makes a lot more. It's not just a reroll, it's not just a +1. That's a big chunk in a D10 based game. So that's a really good narrative tool for controlling the vagaries of the dice rolls and allowing you to get the result you need, you know, when we are using the dice to interpret the stuff. Because a D10 is a very swingy dice. There's not a bell curve with it and whatnot. So awesome. It's so good to get a game, to get this game finally to the table as well. So for those, any closing thoughts between you guys? Nada?
No, that's cool.
Haven't killed you yet. Haven't been possessed by demons yet, as far as you know. Then, for those listening at home, thank you so much for joining us for this. It took us 3 tries to get the stream going, but we got it done. So thank you for joining us. As is always the case, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns regarding the session, the game, or the adventure we played, again, this is Salvation out of the Hooks sourcebook. If you're looking to play this or run this yourself, there is also, I don't have this in PDF, and I didn't want to take a photo of it, but there actually is a map in there of West Brockshire. So for those who want to have something to situate where everything is on a map, there is something in the adventure itself. So if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, leave a comment down below. There's also a link in the description of the video to the Dungeon Musings Discord server where all of us are active. We have a channel there for assorted games, as well as most games we run on the channel, most campaigns we have on the channel. You're more than welcome to join us over there. In addition, there's Find a Group, GM discussion, virtual tabletop chat. There is very helpful, knowledgeable, and friendly people over there, and you're more than welcome to join us. There's also a link down below to our friends at Noble Knight Games. Noble Knight Games is the preeminent unionized retailer of hard-to-find and out-of-print RPGs in North America. They help me fill many of the holes in my Ars Magica 5 collection. If they do not have something in stock in their extensive catalog, you can put it on a want list, and they will send you an email when it comes in. And if you make a purchase of $10 or more through their website, be sure to enter the code MuserFrost, all caps, all one word, and you'll save 10% on your purchase. That'll change as of January 15, 2025. So if you're listening to this after that date, come back to one of our more recent videos, and you'll see what the current discount code is there. There's also a link down below to something called Heroes Save Villages, which is the charity fundraising campaign we run on the channel. It benefits the SOS Children's Villages International Charity, an incredible organization active in over 130 countries, benefiting over 80,000 orphaned and abandoned children. There are ongoing relief efforts in a bunch of areas. You can learn all about it by following that link, and all donations through that go directly to them. None of it goes to the channel or any other middleman. The last thing I will say is, once again, a truly heartfelt thank you to Ingolf, Darren, and Dave for joining me in finally 30 years to get to this game to the table, and it was absolutely worth the wait. What a fucking cool game to run, and to prep for as well, too. And I will say that it is not as, you might think that it is, for a game as complicated as this, that there's a lot of work that needs to be done in order to get it to the table. I think we talked for about an hour before we started playing, not even. So if you have Ars Magica sitting on your shelf like I did for many, many years, and you're thinking about, well, how are we going to get it to the table? Just do it. The Hooks there's 5 more adventures in here that are just terrific. Yeah. So anyway, we'll be back at some point with something new, I'm sure. And hopefully, I mean, whether it's back with this story or something else, I think there's going to be some Ars Magica in 2025 for sure. But until we see again, for those listening at home, we hope that we gave you a few hours to take your mind off the troubles of our world and think about the troubles that we had in landing this white whale. 3 tries at a stream, but we got it landed. Ahab, 1 for me, 0 for you, champ. But until we see you again, stay safe, stay healthy, and happy gaming.
Yeah.